Hey everybody, it's Jerry. Welcome back to my OI journey, and it's presently Thursday, April 3rd, 2025. I had my osseointegration implant last Friday, March 28th. I was supposed to be released to go home this past Monday, and I'm still here. It hasn't been a picnic. The surgery went really, really well. Doctors, the medical team here are absolutely incredible. But as you can hear, I have had the hiccups like with relentless assault. And normally hiccups aren't a big deal, but when you're recovering in the hospital and you need to eat, you need to talk to people, and the spasms in your esophagus start to get so intense that you start to sound like RFK Jr., and I have. There's something not right, because you have to figure out what you're going to attribute that to, because when you go home, you don't want to be dealing with this. My hiccup spasms have actually gotten so bad, I've been sharing with people, it's like Darth Vader force choking you. You've seen it in the Star Wars movies, you know, he does this. And then you're like, I'm not kidding. That's what these spasms are like. And they're low in here. So apparently, through specialists and doctors consulting and all kinds of internet research, what happens during surgery when you're under general anesthesia, you have a nerve in your throat called the vaga or the vega nerve. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it's spelled V-E-G-U-S, vagus nerve. Vagus nerve. I say Vegas, you say Vegas. And I was talking with my sister who had surgery, and she had hiccups afterwards also. So from Monday forward, they wouldn't stop. They gave me all kinds of medications, some specifically to stop hiccups. I stopped taking painkillers because I thought that the hiccups were as a result to some painkillers that either weren't working or new painkillers that were working. So trying to manage your pain relief levels without painkillers with an implant, it was no picnic. But we eventually were able to whittle it down that it's not the result of medications I'm on. It's not the result of pain medication. It's the result of anesthesia entering your system through the esophagus. It's very possible the anesthesia tube that went in may have brushed against that reflexory vagus nerve, and what's happening is it's irritated, and it is causing my diaphragm to reflex when I don't need it to, causing spasms. Getting to the point where I'll demonstrate what it's been like. This isn't an actual episode, but a recreation. It would be like and you're literally struggling until you can get your airway open and unblocked. So once we discovered the medications weren't working, but it had nothing to do with the painkillers, and I can't go home this way. You can't go home and feel like you're going to be force choked by some unseen presence or some demon in your body, even though I know I'm sounding dramatic, but when you don't have any control over that, you feel very, very helpless. And it makes it really, really difficult to have any confidence leaving the hospital. And your medical team doesn't want you to go home if you don't feel safe either, feeling fully in control. But I discovered the cure to hiccups. I didn't believe it when I read it. I thought, this is bullshit. I've held my breath. I've held my nose. I've drank water fast. I've sat against the back of a chair straight. But this solution that I'm going to demonstrate for you, because I'm actually dealing with a hiccup attack right now, it's worked. I've done this now 8 to 10 times in the past 2 days, and every time it stopped my hiccups. So it's either stop on this way or wait around until they decide to go away on their own, which drives you crazy, keeps you asleep, makes it impossible for you to talk, makes it impossible for you to eat and swallow. So when my nurse gets back, she's going to hold the camera, and I'm going to demonstrate for you what the absolute guaranteed solution is, at least from my end. And I discovered this little trick on YouTube to stop your hiccups in a normal everyday situation, or if you're recovering from surgery and you're one of these patients that has whatever reaction in your vagus nerve to the wearing off of the anesthesia, or some kind of a interference, or what do you want to call it? Something that not interferes with, but irritates the vagus nerve. In a moment, you're going to see what'll solve it. It feels ridiculous. Doing it feels embarrassing. And when you're in the midst of doing it, you can't believe you're doing it. But when you're finished and you stand up and you take those relaxing, calming breaths afterwards, and your hiccups are gone, I don't understand what sorcery this is, but I'll have some thoughts on the tail end when I demonstrate what you do and how it works, so you can actually see the results and use this little trick in regular life. Or if you decide to get OI surgery and you have complications from anesthesia after you get out of surgery, post-op, you don't want to stay in the hospital for a week. They've been fine to have me. I mean, they don't want to send me home unless I'm comfortable. And as I said, I've had an ace medical team here at Northwestern. Really, really phenomenal, helpful people. But they've been frustrated too. And I told them, here, I got a solution now. And even one doctor who ended up using the last ditch effort on this, which was Thorazine, which is an antipsychotic. It's a drug used for other things, but it has been helpful in curing hiccups. It didn't do anything for me. And I said, well, I've been, for the past couple nights, doing this method. And he said, I don't recommend you do that forever. I'm like, I don't know how to do it forever, but it's the only thing that's worked. And even after I took the Thorazine a couple times and it wasn't working, I'm like, I'm back to the method. I'm going to demonstrate to you all. And Thorazine might work for some patients. I mean, everybody's different, but for the hiccup victims that can find no respite, here's what's going to be going on. And I'll tell you also what's kind of funny about this. After I beat the hiccups the first 3 times doing this, I'm like, I got you, you bitch. I got you. You're not coming back. It was like I felt like Tom Hardy in that Venom movie where the parasite comes out and he's always arguing with this thing that's in his body that he's fighting for control of his body with. Kind of funny metaphor there, but all right, hang in there and I'll have the demonstration for you following up. Okay, everybody, as promised, here is the secret to curing your hiccups. And like I said, I thought this was all bullshit until some guy on YouTube said you got to try it and follow through and commit to it and it'll work. First of all, you want to make sure you've got a container of water that's at least this full, because you might need to go 1 or 2 tries at it and you're going to use a straw. So the technique is, normally you drink out of a cup this way. This guy says you need to drink out of a cup this way, literally turning yourself upside down, drinking the water. And what's happening is the water it's going down your esophagus and triggering that vagus nerve, or hitting the diaphragm, which is what's causing the weird spasmodic instances that you don't have any control over. It reverses it, because somehow the gravity and the way the water's going in is like the opposite way. It sounds crazy, and I'm probably even like screwing up the explanation, but instead of keeping this open, which spills water all the time, I decided to do it with a straw. That's how I've started doing it this morning. So you can hear I got the hiccups. Here we go. And you really got to commit to like drinking as much water as you can until you end up standing up and feeling that the spasms are gone away. And then you're going to take a couple of deep breaths to kind of stabilize at the end. Deep breaths, a little bit of a burp. On.
Are you a cane or crutch user seeking greater support on the beach, golfing, gardening, or going up or down stairs? How about a tip that freestands both canes and crutches when not in use? Regular cane and crutch tips won't work on all surfaces. You've tried the rest, now get the best. Introducing the Easy Walk by Sandpad Brands, the only cane and crutch pad providing stability on sand, grass, snow, mud, rocky terrain, as well as regular paved surfaces.